Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll talk about how to rent on your own without a realtor. Like I mentioned in the previous video, the process of renting is very simple. You go look for places and then you reach an agreement with the landlord. If you want to know the general information or what the process is when renting with a realtor, check out my video here. If you want to try and find a property on your own, that's completely fine. In fact, there are times you have to do that. For example, say you want to rent for less than a year. The reason being, we realtors get different property information on MLS, which is a platform where we can see all those different properties and all the information are verified. And on that system, the minimum requirement for post a listing is usually 1 year, and this is what most landlords prefer. That's why most people need to find properties online if they require a lease for less than a year. So you can check out places like Facebook Marketplace or Facebook page for your city, or Kijiji, or even Craigslist to find those properties informations. So when you see an ad online, you're going to ask if the property is still available and book an appointment to look at those properties. You know, the normal stuff. The one thing you need to be extra cautious about is the person who's posting those ads online. If it's a landlord, you know what, that's great. But if it's a tenant, it would be a lot more complicated. When a tenant leases the properties to you, there are two possibilities: either an assignment or a sublease. An assignment is like a lease takeover, so you are literally taking over the lease the previous tenant signed with the landlord. And because of that, the landlord will acknowledge you, and so you are protected by law, so they are going to sign some document. However, in that regards, most landlords will do a background checks on you, you know, all of the usual stuff, as if you are a tenant applying on your own. The other possibility though is a sublease, which is very common in the online advertisement. So in those type of situations, a lot of tenants will hide your existence, as in they will lease behind the owner's back, so the owner wouldn't know you exist, which is a huge red flag, because if the owner finds out about you and then they decided to kick you out, there's nothing you can do to protect you because you're not a legal tenant in this unit. So what that means is you always want to make sure the person behind those online advertisements has the right to lease to you. If they say they're the owner, ask for proofs. What's your original owner certificate? Or, you know, do you have your property tax information? Anything with their names on. If it's a subleasing, ask if the landlord knows, and if the landlord knows, ask for written evidence. Do you have a text? Do you have an email, so you have something to base off of? After you did all of your background check and still decided to go with this property, you need to make sure the landlord chooses you, and that basically requires all of the documents we talked about in my previous video. But individual landlords are more flexible, so they might require more or less than what's on the list. When you reach an agreement, there will come to a point where you need to put a deposit on it and sign a RTA, a residential tenancy agreement. When the realtor is involved, the deposit is saved in the brokerage's trust, so that's pretty simple. But if it's on your own, both parties could be a little iffy. So what that means is, as a tenant, your best interest is to get the landlord sign the RTA first and then pay the deposit. Because there are fraud concerns, so there are cases where people just take over your deposit money and disappear. But as a landlord, their best interest is to have the deposit first before they sign the RTA. Because from their end, they don't want to sign any documents or leases without knowing you are committed to it. So my suggestion would be you guys meet up in a cafe or some places and e-transfer and sign the lease together. Alright, so that's the entire process of renting on your own. As you can tell, there are quite a few drawbacks, especially in the safety or the regulation regards. But there are also a couple benefits. The first one being renting on your own with a landlord could be slightly cheaper, and that's because you're lacking all of the safety structures you have with a realtor. The other one being you are communicating with the landlord directly from the get-go, so you know how the landlord is from the beginning. So that's everything I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope my video is at least informational. I'll see you next time.